Capp, and I am from Sterling, Illinois. It's about 2 hours away from Chicago.
Oh no, I don't know what's happening. Hold on, let me I hear an echo. Does everybody else hear that? This is so funny. I had it together and I just don't have it. All right, maybe this will help. Okay, let's see.
Did that
That's
work?
my sister. Your sister's on here.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yes, that's better. Okay. So where does your story kind of begin for you guys?
After she was born, I guess, because nobody really knew that anything was wrong. I mean, all my ultrasounds showed that she had a big tongue because I had gestational diabetes. So I had to get non-stress tests and ultrasounds done twice a week from like 30 weeks on. And every time that we did an ultrasound, you could see her tongue sticking out. I have like 10 ultrasounds, and all of them are her tongue sticking out. And the nurse thought it was like the cutest thing that she was sticking her tongue out. And it's so rare around here that nobody knew at all.
Yeah.
And then I was in labor for 18 hours and ended up having to have a C-section because she was too big to fit through my cervix. Yeah, I pushed for an hour and a half. It was brutal.
Oh my gosh, that's awful. That's like both, you did it both ways.
Yeah, and I did it all natural. I mean, I didn't get an epidural or anything. So yeah, it was brutal.
Well, you're amazing.
Thanks. And so I went back for my C-section and everything went good. There was a lot of blood. I mean, the doctor even said that there was an abnormal amount of blood. But I had her at 12:53 in the morning. So the next day, her first pediatrician came in and he like didn't sit down or anything. He just walked in the door, and I was 18 years old. So I mean, I was just this young like new mom.
Yeah.
And he walks in and he's like, "Well, I think your daughter has Down syndrome." Just like that. Like didn't like prepare me for it or anything.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like in tears. And like everything just kept going wrong in the hospital. She ended up with jaundice and I was just a mess. So then they kept trying to push antidepressants on me and I was like, I'm not depressed. Like you guys just keep giving me bad news. Yeah.
And even
like
if
I'm
they
18
didn't
years
give you
old.
bad news, like I was a mess and with Michael Jr. and I was like, nothing was wrong. I was just a mom.
Yeah. So they did like all the testing that they do in the hospital. We had stayed in the hospital for 5 days because of her jaundice being so high. And then we ended up going home on the 5th day. And then at her 2-week appointment, the doctor said that her Down syndrome test came back and she didn't have Down syndrome. So he's like, I've been doing a little bit of research, and he's like, I came across this really rare syndrome called Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome. And he like kind of explained like what Google said about it. And he's like, I'm going to send you to a geneticist up in Rockford, which is about an hour and a half away from where I'm at, so he can do the testing for it. And I was like, okay. So at this time, she still had jaundice, and it was still pretty high. So we went to the geneticist, and they did the testing, and then at 2 months old, they said that she did have it. When we went for the appointment at the geneticist, he said that she like had all the signs for
the clinical stuff.
Yep. So he said even if she didn't come back positive for it, he would still diagnose her clinically.
That's good.
Yeah. And she was a pretty big baby when she was born. Compared to me, she was 8 pounds 9 ounces. And
yeah, that's a nice size baby.
Yeah, I'm 5'1", and they were expecting me to have like a 6-pounder.
Right.
So yeah, at 2 months old, we got the results of that. And then we had to see a GI doctor because she had jaundice up until she was about 4 months old, and she has another syndrome called Gilbert syndrome,
Wow.
which just attacks the liver, and it makes her have
Oh.
a higher bilirubin count.
So that's why she was jaundiced for so long.
Yes, and they didn't know why.
Oh.
So that's why. But
So what is that syndrome? Like, what does she do anything for that?
no.
Like, what does she have to do for that? No.
They said that that's pretty much a non-existing syndrome.
Oh,
And
interesting.
it's just like if she gets sick or stressed out, like you can tell in her eyes especially, they
Mm-hmm.
get like a yellow tint to them. And
Oh.
as she gets older, her skin can be slightly yellow if she's sick or stressed out or whatever.
Wow.
But that's about it. I'm on a support group for it, and like a lot of adults are on it that like just found out that they have it, and they said that they can't eat certain foods or they can't
Oh.
really drink a lot of alcohol because it kind of messes with their stomach. But that's about it for that.
Well, that's good. At least it's
Yeah.
nothing like, I don't know, a whole bunch of other stuff you have to do on top of what you
Right.
already have to do.
Right.
So how old is she now?
She will be 5 in next Friday.
Wow. So
Yeah.
how is she done with all of her scans and blood work and all of that?
Um, really well. I mean, at first it was, I mean, she was 2 months old, so it's what you
Yeah.
would expect from a 2 month old.
Right.
But I remember I think she was about 8 months old,
Mm-hmm.
and we went in for her blood work because they would always do her blood work after her ultrasound, so then she wasn't a mess for her ultrasounds.
Right.
Um, So after her ultrasound, we went back for the blood work, and they poked her, and she didn't cry. And like I'm sitting there in tears
Wow.
because she didn't cry. So it was kind of like it was sad to me because she shouldn't be so used to getting
Yeah.
something like that done. But I was
Yeah.
proud of her for not crying.
So was that from 8 months on? She was like, okay.
She's still freaked out about the blood work for the most part, but
Mm-hmm.
for the ultrasound, she's been a champ through those.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and now her geneticist, because her old geneticist that we first started off with, he retired. So now we have
Oh.
this newer lady who I believe kind of got out of college and like she's kind of younger,
Mm-hmm.
so she's kind of updated on stuff. And she told us that she wants her to get scanned like yearly after 8 until she's like 14.
That's good.
So, yeah. So I'm
That's
glad that we have the extra precautions for it.
Yeah, that seems to be the more people I talk to, what they're going to start doing, um,
Mhm.
because they are seeing that after 8, there still is some risk.
Chances. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's good. Yearly is a good thing. So
Yeah.
that's good. At least you're getting a geneticist that's really proactive with it.
Right. And we switched pediatricians, so that was
Okay.
nice.
It's always nice to have a doctor that is supportive of all of this because they're supposed to
Yeah.
be.
Well, and the first doctor, the guy that told us she could have had Down syndrome,
Oh my God.
he I feel like he was kind of like intimidated by her because it seemed like for like her first 6 months of life she kind of had something wrong with her every time we went in there. So
Oh,
he kept sending us to specialists, which I'm thankful that he sent us to somebody who knew what they were doing, but
yeah.
like in that specialty. But I feel like he was like semi intimidated by her, so that's why he did
Yeah.
it. But he
That's
told us
interesting. I
that,
never thought of that. That our
yeah,
babies probably do intimidate them because they're
probably,
like, I
well,
don't
and
know what any of this is.
he said that she will probably be the one and only case that he ever sees in his
Wow.
career of Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome. Because, I mean, the town that I live
Yeah.
in is super small, and he's
Right.
never heard of it before. And even, like, a lot of, like, doctors that I see now for her have no idea what it is. And I have to explain to doctors and, like, nurses, like, what this is. And it's like, holy cow, like, you guys did schooling for this.
Yeah, it's like so backwards. It's so
Yeah.
backwards. I
It's like,
know,
I'm
and
just a
it's
mom.
yeah, you're like, this is just my baby. I'm just surviving and taking care of them.
Right.
Like, I'm coming to
Right.
you for direction and to care for them. I know.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine like being in your shoes or the shoes of some of the people I've talked to that are in smaller areas where it's not, I say it all the time. I feel really blessed that we live so close to Children's Hospital,
Yeah.
because they have a whole team there. I can't imagine just not having that resource. Like,
Well, and luckily Rockford, it's a bigger city, so I mean, I know there's one lady whose daughter, they live in Rockford and she has it.
oh, that's cool.
Um,
You
so I
connect it
mean,
with them.
right. So it's more common in Rockford, I guess, in like the
Hmm.
Chicago area. So at least they like have seen it before,
Yeah,
and at least we have those doctors there that are familiar with it. And luckily we get to do
yeah,
like all of our scans and stuff here, and
that's
then we
good.
just transfer all the records to her doctor
Yeah.
in Rockford.
What kind of like Beckwith signs and stuff does she have other than the tongue?
She had the ear creases, and the ear pits
Hmm.
on her ears. She had strawberry patches, which she still does. It looks like she has like
Oh.
permanent eyeshadow on both eyelids. And you can really tell when she's mad because they stick out a lot. And
Oh,
she
that's
had one
funny.
above her lip. She had one above her lip that disappeared by the time she was 1.
Okay.
Um, and one on her forehead that comes
Hmm.
out when she's mad. And then
Oh.
like the whole back of her head is red, covered in a strawberry patch.
Okay.
Um, so that was the other one. She had a small umbilical hernia, not enough
Hmm.
to like need surgery or anything, but she did have that. Um, and I think that's it. And she was bigger compared to me. She was a bigger baby.
Yeah, that's a big baby for someone as tiny as you. That's
Yeah.
a big baby. Does she have the uneven growth on the one side at all?
Um, yes, she does now. It's not bad. They said that she has like a couple centimeter difference
Okay.
with her left leg compared to her right. And
Hmm.
then her left nipple is higher than her right nipple. So
That's
I thought that was
so
kind of
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so interesting. I'm pretty sure it was Alicia. She sometimes is. I was supposed to do a segment with her, but she sometimes is on this page. Her,
Yeah.
I met her at the CHOP conference, and she said her daughter has something very similar. Like her nipples are not in the right.
Oh, wow.
They're
Yeah, and
not
I
in the right
never I
spot.
never noticed. I can kind of tell her leg difference
Hmm.
like when she's like from behind. I can tell that her left leg is longer than her right leg. But her new geneticist that we just saw over the summer, she's the one that pointed everything out and like confirmed it all.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool to know that.
Is your daughter at the age where she kind of understands like why she goes for her ultrasounds and stuff like that?
Yes. And I mean, she gets excited now that she
Oh,
doesn't
that's
have to do the
good.
blood work. Yeah, she still asks if they have to take her blood, but
Oh.
yeah, she does great. I mean, she'll watch the scan on the screen and
Oh,
everything.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
She'll be able to
Sheila
point
said
everything out by the time this is over with.
Sheila
Go
said
inside.
Gracie has one inverted nipple and one outie nipple.
Oh,
But see the kinds of things we find out doing this?
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Oh,
funny.
Gracie. How did you go about telling your daughter or like explaining it to her? Because I don't know how I'll do that once Owen's a little older.
I guess I guess we've never really had that talk. She's never really asked, I guess. I
I guess she
mean,
doesn't know any different, so she's just like, this is what we do.
yeah, it's normal for her, and
Yeah.
I don't think she talks to it or talks about it to like her friends or anything. So I don't know if she actually has realized a difference yet.
Okay. What
So,
about her tongue? Is her tongue fine or like she grow into
um,
it?
she grew into it, I think. It's
Okay.
still bigger. She can touch her tongue to her nose, and she thinks
Wow.
that's super awesome. She has to
That
show
is
everybody.
awesome. That's
Yeah, she
great.
thinks that's like her special trick.
Oh.
So she can do that, and it has pushed out her lower jaw a little
Okay.
bit. We saw two ENTs for
Mhm.
it. We saw one in Chicago, and then we saw Dr. Marsh in Missouri.
Mhm.
And at the time when we saw Dr. Marsh, it was right before he retired.
Mhm.
And I wanted to get his opinion before he retired. And he said that hers was not very severe to
Mhm.
like, since it wasn't like causing her any problems.
Right.
He said that the only reason why we should do it is for cosmetic reasons,
Mhm.
um, for as she gets older and everything. So then we went to Chicago to the ENT that did her tube and adenoid surgery,
Mhm.
and he said that he would not recommend it at all because it wasn't
Yeah.
bad enough. And he's like, she may have an underbite and she may need braces, but he's like, I have an underbite and I have no issue with it.
Right.
So I kind of chose not to go that route, I
Mhm.
guess.
I think that was
Um,
smart. If it's not causing her, just coming from my experience of having Owen had one,
right.
it's hard.
Yeah, and I mean, I was young, like,
Yeah.
I was 18, 19 years old. So I was really young, and I think I would have been more traumatized than she would have been
Yes. Yeah.
for, yeah. And
Yes.
so I opted not to do it, and I've gone back and forth with it. I mean, I'm totally like confident in my decision on not
Right.
doing it. But like now her jaw's kind of getting pushed out and she has a gap in between her front bottom teeth, and she always
Mhm.
like jokes about it saying that she lost a tooth there.
Oh.
And we get comments about that. Um,
Oh.
but I had braces when I was younger, and her dentist said that who would have known if, because he said that she will need braces,
Yeah.
but he's like, who knows if it's due to this or due to genetic reasons.
Yeah,
He's
like
like,
she
you
just
had
needs
braces.
braces. Yeah.
Right,
Plenty of people have braces.
right. Um, and I guess my thought process was that if it did cause enough damage, I guess, or if she didn't like it when she was older,
Mhm.
we could go for the jaw
Yeah.
reconstruction, which, I mean, I've read on the page that it's not as traumatizing as
Yeah.
it seems, and then that way it could be her decision, is
Yeah.
the
I
way
think
that
that's
I
a
looked at it.
really good way of looking at it.
Yeah,
I think that was a really mature decision, especially for the age that you were at. I can't even
I'm hoping
imagine.
so.
Yeah, I mean,
I go back and forth with it
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, I mean, it's hard because I remember talking to my husband and right before the appointment with the plastic surgeon, and I was like, if he says he doesn't need it, I'm going to push for it. And not because of cosmetic reasons, just because I was like, I don't want him to have jaw surgery. And so, like, I went in there, like, fully expecting him to be like, no, he doesn't need it, and me having to fight, to him, like, just taking one look at him, and he was like, oh, like, he
Yeah, like
absolutely
he
needs it. And
needs
I
it.
was like, what? Like, I wasn't
Yeah,
prepared at all. And I was like, oh man, like, I guess I don't even need to make a decision. But now, like, we're in a position where he might need another one because it's
oh
grown.
no,
And
yeah,
I'm like, I don't want to do that unless it's absolutely necessary because I've already been through it
right.
once. I'm just like, he did great. He was a champ. I was a mess for like
Oh
2 weeks.
yeah,
I was a hot mess. I can't even imagine getting that news that you got at 18 years old. I mean, how old was
it was
I?
tough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was tough.
Do you feel like you have enough support where you're at, even though you're from like a
Oh,
really small place?
oh yeah. My
That's
family
good.
is awesome, and
Oh, good.
I have a couple really close friends who are very supportive with it, and they
That's
help in any
awesome.
way that they can.
Good. How big is she now? I know she was a big baby. How big is she still like trending on the bigger side or?
No, I think she's a little taller
Mhm.
um, than she probably should be, just because me and her dad are two very short people. So, so I feel like she probably will be tall,
Yeah.
But, I mean, she's pretty thin for her age, I would think. She's only 42 pounds, so I don't think
Oh my
that's too big
gosh.
for
Yeah,
a
no, she's,
5-year-old.
oh my God, Owen's 35.
Yeah.
I'm like, geez, I'm not going to be able to drag him around anywhere
Which
anymore.
she was bigger up until, like, I don't know, 3 years ago. Like, she was, like, the same size for, like, the last 3 years. She just, like, started, like, gaining weight. I feel like she was
Yeah.
the same weight forever.
Oh yeah, that's good because then she kind of can, the rest of her
Yeah.
can catch up and she can even out. I'm kind of
Right.
wondering when that's going to happen for Owen. I'm like, holy crap, like when are you going to stop and
Yeah.
just take a break from the growing?
Yeah.
Do you ever have like encounters with strangers where they bring up her appearance or anything like crazy that you've had to manage?
I did a lot when she was a baby, like a lot. And I
Oh,
think people don't really point it out now just because she's older. I mean, she can comprehend
what they're
comments
saying.
and stuff. And I like no kids have ever like said anything different about her. I know like there's a couple people who have like asked like friends or
Hmm.
family of mine like why she has a bigger tongue, I guess, or why she has that BWS face, because I feel like they all have like the same smile and the
Oh,
same
they
cheeks
so
and
do.
stuff. Yes, they
It's
do.
all right here,
Yes. So a
right in the
lot of
lower
people
cheeks.
have like asked like friends and family and stuff like that, like why, and they don't do it in
Hmm.
like a mean way. They're just like curious if there
Yeah.
is something that has to do with it. Um, so they all inform them about BWS, which is nice because it's getting it
Yeah.
around. And
Yeah, that's good.
but when she was a baby, we got. I mean, I remember going into it seemed like every time we went into the grocery store, you know how everybody has to hover over a baby that they see and
Hmm.
compliment how cute they are. Everybody complimented her tongue because that's
Yeah.
all you saw. I mean, her tongue really
Aw.
stuck out when she was like under a year old, before
Hmm.
she could hold it in her mouth. She was constantly getting comments on that. And it's like, are you like
I
trying to
know.
be rude in the grocery store? Like,
You're like, I'm just trying to get my milk and my bread and my
right.
eggs and just
Yeah.
carry my baby
I'm just
around.
trying to get my groceries here and you're commenting about how big her tongue is.
I know, like I know a lot of people aren't doing it maliciously, but we got that a lot with Owen too, and we
Yeah, it's
still
just
get
the
it
way
now,
that
and I'm
they
like,
come off as. Like,
yeah, you're like, how am I
I
supposed
would
to
never I would
respond?
never go up to some stranger and be like, "Oh, why does your baby look like that?" Like, I feel like that's not
Yeah.
something you say to a total
Well,
stranger in the grocery store.
and I almost feel like because they're a baby, like all bets are off and people think that they can say what they want. Like you would
Yeah.
never go up to a grown adult and be like, "Why is your tongue sticking out of your face?" Like you would never
Right.
say something like
Yeah.
that. It's crazy.
Yeah. I
But
I don't get people sometimes.
I don't either. I'm just catching up on some of the things. Hey, Elise. Elise said she was at CHOP today, saw Dr. Kalish, was told that BWS should be looked at as more of a spectrum rather than a syndrome. Yes, because it's so different for everyone. She was also in the local paper to help make aware of her syndrome. Your daughter made the
Yeah.
paper?
Yeah, she made the
That's
front page. Yeah,
awesome!
she had the front page and then she had like page 5 or something. And we got
That's
comments for
amazing.
like we still get comments sometimes. Like I'll go like to the hospital or something and they'll be like, "Oh, you're the little girl that was in the paper years ago." And it's like, "Oh,
Oh,
people remember that."
that's so cool. Wow, how old was
Yeah,
she
it
when
was
that
cool.
happened?
I want to say she was 2. Yeah, I think
So
she
how
was
did that
2.
come about? Did you just like reach out to them or
Yeah, I reached out
good for
to a
you?
reporter, and it was close to Rare Syndrome Day,
That's awesome.
and I reached out to him, and he like caught on, like he was totally for it. As soon as like I kind of explained like what I was doing and everything, he
Yeah.
was totally for it, and yeah, he came and talked to us, and he just
That's
fell in love with
amazing.
her. Yeah, it was great.
Oh, that's so cool. I feel like if everyone did that, like we could just really just get it out there because even like
Yeah,
I feel like there's so many kids that just aren't diagnosed because nobody knows about it and because a
right.
lot of the
Well,
signs are so subtle.
and I was at an appointment one time at my dentist, and the dental hygienist had pointed out how there was an older man that used to go there, and she's like, I really think that he has it, and just like, has never known about it. She's like, because he does have, like, a pretty big tongue.
That's so
And he's
funny.
like, she's like, I feel like he probably has it. And she's like, I'm, of course, not going to say anything because that's not my place.
Yeah.
She's like, but it's crazy because it probably wasn't, like, ever known that long ago to
Right.
even be pointed out.
I know. It really makes you wonder, like, what the true numbers really are, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not that new. Like, it's not that old of a syndrome. It's new. So, I mean,
Right.
only in the 60s. So, when you think about it, you're like, holy crap, there's probably plenty of people, babies, any type of age walking
Oh,
around that
yeah.
has it, you know?
Yeah.
So, it's kind of crazy to just think about. It's almost like our
Right.
kids and like the ones that are getting diagnosed now are like the first batch to
Right.
like set the
Yeah.
stage for the rest of the kids. Like I hope that it evolves like once
I
more
hope
kids
so,
get
too.
diagnosed. Yeah, just so that like you're not explaining to doctors what your child has. I mean, that's the worst.
Right, that is the worst. And
It
it's
is.
like, I wonder if they would do so, like if they would have done something if they were more educated about it, like all those ultrasounds that those
Mhm.
nurses did on me, and they saw her tongue sticking out in every single one, but didn't
Yeah.
think anything of it. And I mean, I don't know if they would have been able to do something while I was pregnant. I mean, I don't know if it really affects anything while you're
Right.
pregnant. But it's like just to kind of know, I guess. And it wouldn't have changed anything, but
Right.
it just makes me curious. If they were educated, I would have been more prepared than laying
Right.
in the hospital bed the day after I had my kid at 18 years old, crying like a baby because I got told that she had Down syndrome.
Oh my God. Bedside manner, man. Some doctors
Yeah, it
really need
was
to work
terrible.
on
It was
that.
terrible. I will
Oh
never
my
forget
God.
that. Never forget
And
that.
that's awful. Like, that's what you're going to remember forever. Like, that he just
Yeah.
sat down. Oh, I had a similar situation when Owen was in the NICU. They, like, casually mentioned Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome to me, like, when he was initially with me in the room. Um, and I was like, oh, okay. But they were like, we don't think he has it. We think he's just swollen, whatever. And then when I went down to see him, they were like looking at him and they commented on his one side. And I said, yes, it looks bigger to me. Immediately, the doctor was like, we need to order an ultrasound to check for cancerous tumors, and then walked out.
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
what?
Yeah.
What? And then just like left me there. And I was like, wait, for what? Why? Like,
Yeah. Especially being
yeah.
in the NICU, you would think that they'd explain a little more.
Yeah,
That's
it was.
terrible.
Yeah, and luckily his nurse was fabulous, and she was like, "I am so sorry," and like had like printouts for me. But I was like, "Geez, really?" Like,
Yeah.
like I'm a mom. My baby's in the NICU. That's stressful enough, and now you're gonna tell me let's check for cancerous tumors and then sprint out of the room.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God,
Thank God for nurses.
they're the best. They really
They
are.
are. I had one nurse when I had Anaya that, because I had to stop breastfeeding after she was born because they found sugar in her urine.
Oh,
So I had to quit nursing. And that was like one thing that I was very adamant about. And I wanted to
oh,
do that to build that bond with her and everything. And
yeah.
so I had to give her soy milk. And she like knew how adamant I was about it. And I had to give her soy formula for the first three, or like, I got to breastfeed her the first day, and then they found the sugar. So, like, the next 3 days, she was on soy. And she was the nurse. She had requested that she be the one to come in and tell me that I could breastfeed again. And I just
Oh,
remember being in tears and her just hugging me. And she's like,
oh,
I requested that I was the one to tell you because I knew you were so adamant about it. I was like, oh,
oh.
you're
That's
the
so
best.
sweet. See,
I
it's
know.
little things like that that make all the difference in the world. It
I
really
know.
is.
Well, and we had one scare
Oh, did
from
you?
Anaya's ultrasound. Yes, we did. We had one. They thought that they saw something on, I believe it was her left kidney.
Okay.
So we had to do a CT with contrast. And I remember we were going up to the pediatric floor, and this nurse that was there when she told me that I could breastfeed again, she had switched positions at the hospital, so she was with some other people, but she wasn't in scrubs, she was in normal clothes, and she saw me, and like, I guess like I just had that look on my face that I was about to
Oh,
just like melt.
lose it. Yeah.
Yes. And she just like stopped what she was doing and she hugged me and she's like, it'll
Aw.
all be okay. And I was a mess. That just made me lose it.
Oh.
I was like, I can't even like hold it anymore.
Yeah, you're like, now look what you did.
Yeah.
Oh. So what did it turned out to be like?
It
What did it turn out to
they it
be?
what I think it was just a shadow on the ultrasound
Okay.
and the CT showed nothing. It showed that she had a twisted bowel. And that's
Okay.
not something that we were looking for, but that's what we
Right.
found out of the CT. So that
Oh.
was good to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all they found.
That's
So
awesome.
that was good. Yeah, that was good. And luckily, everything since then has come back
Good.
great. So
That's awesome. How is her little personality? Is
oh,
she
she is hilarious. She is like by far the funniest, one of the funniest kids I know.
That's awesome.
She is so funny. The things she does, and she's like obsessed with dancing right now. So she'll like put YouTube on her TV and she'll turn it up really loud and then come out to me in the living
Oh.
room and like do some random dance. And she's always cracking jokes and
They're always so
it's really
happy.
funny.
It's just such an
Yes.
awesome thing. Like, you know, just you think that they would be like, I don't know, angry or just annoyed that they're
Yeah. I
constantly
mean,
going through
yeah.
stuff. And they're just like,
The co-
whatever.
yes. Out of everything that she has dealt with in her 5 years of life, she is
Yeah.
by far like the bravest kid I know, and she does not
Oh,
let anything show at all that she's done any of this.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Does she is she feisty? Is she like all the
Oh yeah,
BWS babies?
yeah, she's a spitfire and she's super strong. I mean, she lugs around my boyfriend's son. He is a year and a half and he weighs 32 pounds,
Oh my
literally 10
goodness, he's
pounds less
big.
than her. Yeah, 10 pounds less than her and she literally carries him around everywhere. And like every
Oh.
time somebody sees her doing it, they're just amazed that she's like
Yeah.
capable of doing something like that because he's a big boy. So
Yeah. Oh my God, that probably looks so funny.
it does. And
I
just, I
always
mean,
feel,
she's such a mother hen. So I mean,
oh,
she loves it.
that's awesome. Does she have any issues with speech or anything like that because of her tongue or?
Yes, she did speech therapy from I want to say she was a year and a half until she was like 2.5, 3, and she still does it in school. She has an IEP
That's good.
for speech and developmental. And I actually taught her sign language before
That's
she could like
awesome.
really form words. Yeah, she knew like the 5 common signs because we didn't want her getting frustrated with not
Yeah,
being able to tell us what she needed.
right.
Um, because she was at the age where she should have been talking more than she was. So at least the sign
Yeah.
language helped. I think that helped a lot, and I would
Yeah.
encourage anybody to teach their baby sign language.
Did she do fun? Because we're at the point right now where Owen knows signs for most of the things that he wants. But speech is trying to get him to now say the word. And like he'll say some things, but like the signs that he uses all the time, he like will not try and say them. Like milk, he'll constantly just go like this, like for milk. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, Owen, try and say, like he won't even try because he knows the sign. But I'm like, maybe it's that one's hardest just because it's putting his mouth together.
Yeah. See, and that's what her speech therapist said that she had the most problem doing was
Mm-hmm.
like forming her lips because she was using her tongue as like a bottom lip.
Yeah.
And like she's been doing that her whole life because even when I would nurse her, she would use her tongue as a bottom lip.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that was like normal for her to do. Her speech therapist recommended getting an electric toothbrush and
Mm.
rubbing it on her cheeks to
Okay.
strengthen, like letting her play with it and have it in her cheeks to
On
strengthen
the
her cheek
inside?
muscles. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll
So,
have to
and
do
I
that.
mean, yeah, I mean, it's worth a shot. But no, I think like, once she started forming words, she kind of took off after that, I guess.
She's like, oh man, I can say what I want.
Yeah. And last year, um, through school, because this is her 3rd year of preschool. So last year when they were working with her for slowing down. Because when she got like going with a story, you could not understand anything that was coming out of her mouth hardly.
Oh.
So that's what they worked with. And now, I mean, I think she talks really well. I can understand pretty much everything.
Yeah, and that'll probably only improve with time, like the older she
Right.
gets.
Right.
You know. I think probably the hardest time is the time span where they're trying to learn how to talk, and then
Yes.
where they know what they're trying to say, but they know it sounds different. But
Yes.
she's probably at the point where she'll be fine.
Well, and we're thinking that a lot of her speech issues were due to how many ear infections she was getting, because they're saying her ENT
Interesting.
said, her ENT said that he doesn't think that she could hear hardly anything before he put tubes in her ears. Like,
Really?
she could just hear like muffled noises pretty much.
Aww.
And she couldn't really understand anything. So after we did tubes, that's kind of when I noticed that she kind of took off with speech.
Okay.
And that helped a lot. And then she had to get those set of tubes fell out, and she was still getting ear infections. So we had to go back and get another set of tubes and adenoids. And so
Then
far,
she was
so
good?
So, yeah.
So when she was getting ear infections, did you know, or like with
Oh, yeah.
Owen, okay, so he'll get them and I won't even know.
For the most part, I knew, like, because she would, like, pick at her ears a lot.
Okay.
And, I mean, in a year span before the year that she got tubes, that whole year before, she had, like, 26 ear infections. Like, she did not go more than, like, 3 weeks without an ear infection in one of her ears or both of her ears. Like, it was miserable, even through the summer. And they had
what
her...
are they, like, what are they saying about that? Like, what did they say why she was getting them all the time? That's so many.
I know. I don't know. And then she's allergic to Augmentin. And that was she was on that like 2 or 3 times before she broke out into a rash. And then one night I was giving her a bath and hives like were appearing. And I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
And they just like, since I gave her that bath, like they just started appearing everywhere from the time like she was in the bath until the time she got out. And then that next morning she was covered. And it turned into serum sickness, which is hives like on the inside.
Oh, that's scary.
And yeah, they were there for like a week and a half. And they're claiming that it was due to the Augmentin. She had to see a dermatologist for that. Her pediatrician at the time took pictures of it to show, and this was the one that was like, she was familiar with BWS. And she took pictures and she's like, is it okay if I like show the doctors here? She's like, because I've never seen a case so bad. And I said, yeah, go for it. She's like, this could make like the science books.
Yeah. Oh, poor thing. She probably was so itchy.
Bad. Yes, it was bad. And she was only like 8 months old. It was around Easter time, and yeah, she was miserable.
Oh, but she did good with putting the tubes in and everything? She did okay with that?
Oh, yeah. It was quick. I mean, we had to go 2 hours away to Chicago for that because her pediatrician wanted her at a bigger hospital. So in case something did go wrong with because her having Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome, she wanted to make sure that she was like in the right place.
Right.
But yeah, it only took about like a half hour, and she was most miserable when she got out of recovery and was waking up and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So it sounds like she's doing really, really well. That's great. That's awesome.
She has sleep apnea.
Does she? Okay.
Yes, she does.
Is it, I'm guessing it's not super severe, or?
It's moderate. And she has a CPAP that she wears every night. I don't make her wear it on the weekends. But yeah, she loves it. I mean, she went through like a phase where she told, like, it was so sad. She told me, she's like, Mom, she's like, I don't want to wear this anymore. And I was like, well, why? Like, it helps you breathe when you're sleeping. And she's like, but Mom, she's like, I can breathe just fine. She's like, watch. And she like started breathing for me. And I just broke
Aw.
down. I was like, I know, honey. I was like, but this
Oh.
just gives you that little extra help. So I mean
Oh.
that she kind of like that's like the biggest thing that she like knows is different from like
Yeah.
other kids is that she has to have that. And like when she has
Yeah.
sleepovers, they ask like, why does she have to wear that? And
Oh. I didn't even think of that.
yeah.
Like her having to bring it and
Yeah, which
oh.
I don't like if she goes somewhere, I don't make her bring it with. And like I said, I
Mhm.
don't make her wear it on the weekends, but there's been a couple of nights like over the summer where she had like my boyfriend's nieces and nephews would come over and they would
Mhm.
ask like what it was, and my friend's kid, he likes trying it on.
Oh.
And he asked what it was. So I mean it's kind of just explaining why she has to wear it.
Yeah.
Um and the ENT, because they said that they didn't want to give it to her. They wanted us to see the ENT first to see if it was
Okay.
due to her tonsils being
Okay.
big.
Mhm.
Because if so, they were just going to remove her tonsils and then she didn't
Right.
have it. Well, we went to the ENT and he said absolutely not. Like, her tonsils are just fine. They need to stay in her for right now because they do
Mhm.
help.
Yeah.
And so we did the sleep studies and they found out that she did have it. Um, And I asked if she would ever get off of it, and they said that more than likely she will have to have it the rest of her life, which kind of
Really?
sucks because she's so young.
Oh.
And that's kind of when I started going back and forth with my decision on the tongue reduction. But then
Yeah.
I would keep myself up at night thinking about it, and to think about it, I mean, her tongue, if it was due to her tongue, it would be because of the width of her tongue and not the length.
Right.
And tongue reductions really only fix the length of the tongue. So
Yeah, they
either
don't.
way,
Yeah.
yeah, either way, I mean, if we did do the tongue reduction, she would still have, like, I guess, a wider tongue, so to
Yeah, they like
say.
can do like with
Like the
Owen,
thickness.
the thickness is what they have an issue with.
Yes,
Like
yes.
Owen's is still like I was looking at his the other day, and when it's back in his mouth,
Yeah,
like
it's thicker.
it's thick. So I was
Yes.
looking at it and I'm like, I don't even know like how they would what they would do for him at this point
Yeah,
unless
and
it
I
did
think
get
that's her
longer.
problem is like her tongue is thicker. So I don't think that doing a tongue reduction would have made this whole sleep apnea thing be any different
Yeah, it
because
might
she's
not
still
have.
going to have a thick tongue.
Right.
So I don't know.
Now, do you know what type of BWS she has?
It's the sporadic.
The sporadic
That's
one.
I'd
Trying to
have
think
to
which.
find the paperwork.
Okay.
But they did
I was
say it
just
was sporadic.
curious.
Like it's genetic, but it was like a sporadic case. Like if I were to have other children, it's like not likely that they would
Yeah, like you didn't
have
pass
it.
it. Like it wasn't something passed.
Right,
Right.
right.
Okay. Let me see what people are saying. Elise said, I thought a lot of these BWS cases are from IVF. Maybe there are not as many as we think. I think there are, from what I've read, with IVF, it's more common. I don't know why. I don't know how to explain that, but the ER, Kim said, the ER doctor told me the news just like that. She said BWS related to cancerous tumors, and she jetted out of the room while I was crying. Oh my God, people are the
Oh,
worst.
jeez.
Like, what the heck? I don't understand. I just don't get that. Why they behave that way. Elise said she was told at birth, didn't register in her brain. I think this is a friend of yours, Shantae. Does that sound familiar?
Yes,
Anaya's
yes.
story. She is absolutely an amazing little 5-year-old girl. I love her so much. Oh, you have the best
She's
people around
awesome.
you.
She's my best friend.
Aw, she's great.
She's the one that her son wears Anaya's CPAP mask every
Oh,
time he
that's
comes over. He has to try it
that's so
on. Yeah.
cute. Aw. Lennon is my most chill baby. Nothing seems to get to her. Oh, Crystal, that's funny. She said she can't wait to see what she's like as a toddler. Ira said my baby is such a sour patch. So is mine. That's what I call Owen. He's like super like angry sometimes and then so sweet right afterwards.
5 seconds later.
Yes, I swear they could do a Sour Patch commercial with BWS kids.
Yes, yes.
So I guess I made this really bright somehow. I don't know what I just did, but it's really bright. What do you think is your like biggest piece of advice that you would give a young mom, since you've experienced BWS as a young mom? What do you think your biggest piece of advice would be for them?
It gets easier.
That's pretty good.
And you're more traumatized than your child.
Mm-hmm.
At least in my case, anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, Anaya takes it all with a grain of salt, and I'm the one always crying. So,
Does she ever see you cry and like ask, or not really?
sometimes, yeah. I try not to cry around her,
Yeah.
just so then I don't ever have to have that conversation.
Right.
But there's been times where she like was really like devastated with getting her blood drawn, and
Aw.
I was a mess then. And
Yeah.
but a
It
lot of the
sounds like
times that I cried over BWS was when she was younger and didn't
yeah.
comprehend anything.
At what age do you think it started to really get easier for you? Like, do you remember a specific, like, wow, this is so much easier than it was before, like, type of time frame?
I'd say after the blood draw stopped.
That's what,
I
4 years
I
old,
would
right?
yes, I would say
Mm-hmm.
that's when it like, which wasn't that long ago. It was a year ago. Um,
Yeah.
but I feel like that kind of made like a weight kind of lifted off my shoulders, because I remember literally every time she had to get her ultrasound and blood work, I was like just worried like the whole
Yeah.
like time waiting for like 2 days up to the test, and then like 2 days after until I got the results.
Yeah.
I was just a mess, because especially after we had that scare,
Oh my God,
because
yeah.
it's like, oh God, like they're gonna call me on the phone and tell me that I need to come in, and that like
Oh,
that's my worst fear, is
yeah. Yeah,
that
well,
I'm
that's
gonna get
good.
that
It
phone
seems
call.
like you guys did a really good job through the whole 5 years so far. I mean,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
I
She
mean,
sounds like she's
it
doing
does
so
get
good.
easier. Yeah, it does
Yeah,
get easier.
that's good. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
you are the first that this has ever been so technically easy, even though we lost you the
Yay.
first time.
I know, you lost me, and I was like, she just had to say something,
I
didn't
know. I shouldn't have
she?
said anything. I'm like, woo, you're on here. And then I'm like, where'd she go? She's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, thank you so much, and I hope you have a good night,
No
and just keep us
problem.
updated
Yes.
on her.
I will.
Yeah, let us know if anything happens, or just even just to let everybody know that she's still doing good, like as the years go on, because I think this stuff is good for
Yeah.
people to just, even for me. I mean, Owen's only a year and a half, so to talk to you, who your daughter's older, it's like, okay, there's like a light
Yeah, it's
at the end of the tunnel.
refreshing. I
It
remember
is.
being in your position to where like she was younger, and I just kept searching the BWS support group, like
Hmm.
when does this get easier? Like, is there hope? Like
Yeah.
yeah, I was the same way.
Well, good. You've definitely given me hope and like more light, because Owen's scans are coming in October, so I'm not really freaking out yet. But as it gets to the end of September,
Yeah, you
I'm
start to
just gonna
yeah.
be off the rails probably.
Yeah.
So I'll
Well, and
just
like even like during her ultrasounds, like I still don't really know like what I'm looking at.
right,
And I don't know like what's abnormal or not. And of course, like the person doing the scans can't tell you anything.
right.
So like anytime that like they look extra hard or take more pictures of like one of her organs, like I'm
Hmm.
freaking out, like thinking like, oh God, they saw
Yeah,
something that I'm not seeing,
yeah.
and
You're like, why
yeah.
are you taking extra? You don't need extra.
Yes, yes. Like
No, we're
take the bare
done.
minimum. Be fine.
Yeah, take 2 seconds. We're done. We're out. She's
Yes,
good.
yes.
Well, I hope you have a really good night, and thanks again
Thank
for
you.
coming on here. I'm really excited that you decided to come on. And
Thank
thankful.
you.
I'm very thankful.
Yes, it wasn't as nerve-wracking as I thought it'd be,
No, it's
so.
really not that bad. We just roll with the punches. Things get messed up.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, good luck with everything, and I hope she continues to,
Thank
do
you.
really well. You're
Yes, you
welcome.
too.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.